Welcome to the Denago Garage. In this segment, we're going to address what to look for when you're buying your first dirt bike. When deciding which bike to buy, the thing that's most important is size. You want to make sure you buy a bike that is sized right for the person you're buying it for. This MX3, Denago MX3, actually fits me quite well because I can put both of my feet solidly on the ground. Now there's a lot of things that you can do as far as adjustments are concerned, but the one thing that's pretty much set in stone is seat height. So seat height tends to be the most important thing. One of the other things to consider when you're buying your first bike is how you will start it. There's basically two different ways to start a dirt bike. There is an electric starter and there's a Kickstarter. The MX and the MX1 both come with electric starters, and the MX2 and MX3, because it's for a little bit older, a more experienced rider, has Kickstarters. One of the other things to pay special attention to when you're buying your first bike is transmission options. With dirt bikes, there's basically three different transmission options. You have fully automatic, which is great for beginners, kids that don't know anything about transmissions. Then you have semi-automatic transmission, which allows you to shift gears, but you don't have to use a clutch. And then you have the fully manual option, which is pretty much what everybody uses for the bigger bikes, which you have a clutch, you have a gear shifter, and then you have, the throttle. It's really important that you buy the transmission that makes the most sense for the experience level of the person that's going to be riding it. Another very important feature when you're looking to buy your first dirt bike is engine size. Now, for the most part, most of the youth or smaller bikes tend to have engine sizes that range between 100 cc's to about 140 cc's. But the bigger bikes, the big adult or racing bikes, will go all the way up to 450 cc's. So it's really important to buy a bike that has an engine size that will complement the vehicle itself and the person that's going to be riding it. One of the really cool features to look for when you're buying your first bike for your child or a beginner is a bike that offers a governor. A governor is a device that ultimately will allow you to control how fast that bike can go. So this is something that's super important and very, very effective. Ask any dirt bike rider and they'll tell you that by far the most important part of their motorcycle is their suspension. Suspension's everything, because if the suspension works right, you're going to feel confident, you're going to go faster, you're going to have more fun. So suspension's made up of two different things. You have forks, which control the suspension at the front of the bike, and then you have a shock, which controls the rear of the bike. It's really important that the two pieces work together. So in other words, you want the spring rate or the suspension to work in conjunction with each other, or kind of harmoniously together. If your suspension works right, you go fast and you have a heck of a lot more fun. The last thing, and probably the most important thing about a dirt bike, is its ability to stop. There's been two different types of brakes that have been prevalent in the dirt bike industry for the last several years. The first being drum brakes, and you don't really see drum very often anymore. They're a lot harder to work on. They're not near as effective. And then you have the new disc brake, which pretty much you'll see on almost most bikes that are out there today. I highly recommend looking for a bike that has disc brakes, both front and rear. It'll give you the best overall results.